Hi there, my name is Andrew and I worship at St Peter's 6:30 service with my wife Joy, and I'd like to share some verses with you today. They come from Psalm 8, and I must confess this isn't a psalm that I've been drawn to until very recently. And although it's a short psalm, it's only 9 verses, I would encourage you to read it in full. But I'll just share verses 3 to 6 with you. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, the Son of Man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honour. You made him ruler over the works of your hands. You put everything under his feet. Now, I have a big birthday this year, and it doesn't have to make you stop and think about what you've achieved, about what difference you've made in this life that you've been given. And this psalm, Psalm 8, is where we see God, the most powerful creator, caring for his most valuable creation, his people. Imagine if every day we reminded ourselves that we are his people. Now, as coronavirus has reminded us, life can be so uncertain. We don't always see what's coming. We're not as prepared, perhaps, as we should be. And when you read these verses, it can make you feel very small, very vulnerable, or it can spur you on to do great things and make the most of this life you've been given. I once read about a man who had a little plaque on the wall by his front door that read, "Only one life and it will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last." As his people, as whole life disciples, we are called to live our lives to the full, to share in word and deed with all we come into contact with. And when we do what we do in his name and give the glory to him, then we are reflecting how majestic is his name in all the earth. Now, when I reread Psalm 8, I was reminded yet again of the awesomeness of God on the one hand and the importance of humility on the other. Now, David reminds us of all that God has created over all the earth in the vastness of the heavens, the work of his fingers in creating the moon and stars. And yet here am I, little old, insignificant me, like a tiny mustard seed with no miracle stories to share. Yet here's the clincher. Here's the big reveal. He also created me with a purpose, with gifts, with a job to do for him. I'm a part of the vast tapestry, the big picture, and he created me and you in his image. And what we do with our lives is so, so important to God. It matters. Every bit of it matters. Never ever doubt that what we do with our lives is very significant. We make a difference. Sometimes, though, there are times in our lives, and that might be right now, when we feel that we're not worthy of his love or worthy of being in his presence. Yet he loves us more than we can ever know, and more than we can ever love anyone else. Praise be to God who created us, who knows us better than we know ourselves, and who only wants what's good for us. So for the people each of us come into contact with every day, even if those people have changed during lockdown, and for each one of us, when we may be feeling lonely, isolated, quarantined, or distant from the rest of God's creation, remember, he made you. You are valuable to him, and he has given you such authority over his creation. And with that authority comes responsibility to look out for his creation in all its entirety, and that starts with each other. So as each one of us seeks to live out God's purposes for our lives, I hope and pray that we will know where we fit into his plan and that our lives will take on the significance that God intended. Thank you for listening.